brief video here to grouse and complain about things going on in the news today. I saw something on my news feed today that just, as often is the case with me, it just kind of plucked my nerves, made me want to ask people some questions, and if they were here with me, maybe choke them or something. I don't know. Call me crazy. But I just get tired of the hypocrisy and the lack of intellectual consistency and honesty in people. Just be who you are, own it, be honest about it, and quit acting like we're too stupid to know you're being a hypocrite. All right. In particular, I'm talking about this past weekend's affairs where Donald Trump was trying to make a speech in Chicago and he had to cancel because the Black Lives Matters group was all up in arms and shouting people down and wanting to fight with people. And then along comes Chris Brown, paragon of virtue that he is, and he starts texting on Instagram about what he thinks his fellow blacks should do. Now, anyone who knows me, black or white, knows that I don't care about your skin color at all. All right? What I care about is what kind of person you are. And going forward, let me just say this right now: if you don't like strong language, if you get your feelings hurt when you hear bad words, stop listening, because I'm going to say what he said. Okay, I've got it right here. I'm going to use his language, so be prepared. But I just get tired of the stupidity of it all. And I'll just read to you what he said. Here it is. He goes on Instagram and says, "Fuck Trump and fuck the pigs. Without our black culture, Asian culture, Latin culture, Muslims, and any race that you don't approve of help you to be who the fuck you are," it said. Great syntax there, Chris. I can see why you're such a great rapper and singer. Anyway, okay, let's think this through for a minute. Chris, or any of Chris's friends out there who might see this and be able to talk to him and ask him for me. Chris, was it Trump or a Trump supporter or a pig who beat the hell out of Rihanna? Who was that? Who beat her up? Was that justified? Did she do something? Was she maybe a Trump supporter, so it was okay to beat her up? I mean, what was that all about? So what you're saying is it's okay for you to beat the hell out of people when they don't agree with you, if you don't like what they think or say, but nobody else should be doing that to anybody? I mean, do you see the inconsistency here? Do you see the lack of intellectual honesty? And does he really think we're so stupid that we're not going to recognize that this is the same guy who beat the hell out of his girlfriend, but then he's going to complain that Trump supporters and pigs beat up black people? Well, was it a white person that beat Rihanna up? Come on, Chris. Wake up. We can see what's going on. And this bothers me on another front as well. And this goes to Republicans, Democrats, I don't care who you are, black, white, green, red, it doesn't matter. Understand something. We have free speech. Now, let's explore that a little further. First Amendment. You have the right to speak your mind without fear of recrimination from the government. In other words, if you want to stand out on the street with a poster that says, "Obama sucks," you have the right to do that. And whether Obama or the Democrats or anybody else like it or not, you have the right to do it. If you want to stand out there on the street, Mr. Black Lives Matter, with a sign that says "Trump sucks," you can do it. You have every right to. But understand that when you start taking away other people's rights because you don't like what they have to say, then don't be surprised when they turn around and try to do the same thing to you. You either each respect the other's rights and allow them their voice, or they're going to do the same thing to you that you're doing to them. Now, the right to free speech doesn't mean that you, Mr. Speaker, have a right to be heard. I can ignore you. I can leave the room. I can turn off the TV, turn off the radio. It doesn't matter. I don't have to listen to you. But I do and should respect your right to say whatever you want. Because once you start shouting someone down, once you start restricting and infringing on their right to speak, then you have no right. Am I making sense to you? I saw this happen last year. I was at a town hall meeting for David Bratton. at one of the local Midlothian high schools. I want to say Midlothian High School, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he did a fine job of explaining what he's been doing so far in Congress and telling people what's happening in Congress. And then the floor was open for questions. And this young lady stood up and she was taking Mr. Bratt to task for a gun bill that was before Congress that Bratt had neither spoken on or had voted on or offered an opinion on. And she felt like he should. She wanted to know where he stood on this Second Amendment issue. And some older white man in the group jumped up and started hollering, "Shut up, sit down, we don't want you in here, blah, blah, blah." Now, I'm sitting over there in the crowd and I'm watching this, and Bratt, to his credit, told the man to sit down and calm down, that the woman had a right to be heard. And she obviously was not someone who would agree with you or I on the Second Amendment and what it stands for. But she raised her hand, Bratt called on her, and she, as a voting constituent in the 7th District, had a right to speak. This man, this Republican, this conservative, this paragon of virtue and representative government, stood up and tried to shout her down. Now, she wasn't being rude. She wasn't being obnoxious. She wasn't yelling. So someone needs to ask this old man, what do you think is going to happen when you want to speak your mind at some rally or some meeting and somebody tries to shout you down? Are you going to allow that? Are you going to think that, no, that's okay, they have a right to shout me down, they don't agree with me? That's not how it works. Free speech means just that. You have a right to speak. You, the listener, don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But if you don't respect my right to speak or some other person's right to speak, then don't be surprised and shocked and get your feelings hurt when somebody tries to shout you down. So anyway, that's my take on it. Again, if you can get this to Chris Brown, I'd sure like for somebody to ask him if it was a pig or a Trump supporter that beat Rihanna senseless. Just my thought for the day. You guys have a good evening. Talk to you later.